2009, and I'm in the White House. As a matter of fact, I'm in the diplomatic reception room, which is a room which has great history attached to it, and I'm there to conduct President Obama's first live radio interview since he's taken office. On the walls are mural wallpaper that had been commissioned by Jacqueline Kennedy, and they've set up a microphone on a table for me in front of a fireplace. Not just any fireplace, the fireplace where FDR would deliver the fireside chats. I had had a week's heads up to get ready for this presidential interview, and I had solicited suggestions from my radio audience as to what I should ask the president with my half hour of time. And there were not hundreds, there were literally thousands of suggested questions that I should put to Barack Obama. And I carefully culled through all of them and made sure that I had some disparity in terms of where they come from in the country. I remember that the night before I went to Washington, we were having family dinner, and the suggestions continued, meaning from our sons. It was our 12-year-old who said at dinner the night before I went to Washington, "Dad, make sure you ask him about the Book of Secrets." And I said, "Well, you're going to have to remind me the Book of Secrets." And he said, "Well, you know, we saw that movie, National Treasure 2, Nicolas Cage, the Book of Secrets. Only the president finds out who killed Kennedy, did we really go to the moon, and what takes place in Area 51. And I said, "Well, okay, if I get the opportunity to work it in, but I'm not so sure I'm going to have the chance." I had planned for every eventuality for this interview except one. And the one was that he would be early. See, I thought he might be late. The interview was supposed, do you know where this is going already? The interview was supposed to begin at 1:06, and at 1:01, seated in the diplomatic reception room, I heard the sound of shutters, camera shutters going off. There was an enormous press corps, and it told me that it was showtime. The president has walked into the room, but we're not yet live on the air. So I've got to make small talk with the President of the United States. And you know what I asked him, "Mr. President, what's in the Book of Secrets?" Without missing a beat, he responded, "Michael, if I told you, I would have to kill you." And the ice was now broken. Others have a different approach than mine. And theirs has been really good for the business for a long, long time, but I think it has very limited appeal. It has an appeal to a narrow but loyal audience, and in the long term, I think it's having a destructive influence. And that's why I argue that it's time for the industry to embrace change by expanding the menu of radio and television personalities to reflect not only those extremes, but also the middle of the country. And so the first step is for the public to recognize the cause and effect between the polarized media and the gridlocked environment that exists in Washington. And what I argue is that if we can change the tone of things, we'll be doing all of our kids a great favor. And speaking of which, and in conclusion, I want to tell you about our four. 3 sons and a daughter, who is now the daughter already 2 years out of college. Time really flies. When she was 8, and I was just getting started in talk radio, she wanted to go to camp in North Carolina. We dropped her off outside of Asheville, North Carolina, and went home back to Philadelphia that Saturday. Didn't hear from her on Sunday, didn't expect that we would. Didn't hear from her on Monday, didn't hear from her on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, however, there was a manila envelope in the mail. And the manila envelope contained letters that she'd been writing all week long that had been bundled and sent home in one shot. "Come and get me now," all caps. "I'm having no fun, and now I realized I sometimes take you for granted, Granite, and I'm sorry. I'm having no fun, I miss you too much. Renee, my counselor, took me to see Miss Kay, the nurse, and now she thinks I'm a freak. And I was literally going to die, DYE, because when I was crying, I did not get enough air. By the way, the pool has snakes, jellyfish, and frogs." She came home, went back to camp the following summer, had a great experience in year number 2. and provided me with what was arguably the best radio with which I've ever been associated. And you know who told me so? Conservatives told me, and liberals told me, and Republicans told me, and Democrats told me. And I think there's a lesson in that. Thank you very much, St. Cloud. It's awfully nice for me to be here. I also want to make sure I particularly say thanks to Bob Hughes and AM 1240 for giving me this honor, because, truth be told, this was the first affiliate that I had when my program went into national syndication. So I'm very, very grateful, and thank you for the warm welcome.